with Chaz Sandifer, who is the CEO and founder of TheNEWmpls, all one word, the new capital NEW and then lowercase MPLS, which focuses on affordable fitness, wellness, and nutrition. Bringing her holistic approach to the community, Shay teaches others how to break generational cycles, instilling that fitness is fun, quality nutrition is king, and wellness is key to a healthy future. She's a certified group fitness instructor and a certified life and wellness coach, specializing in trauma healing, which we both have that in common, as well as she also specializes on issues around diabetes and arthritis prevention. Shay teaches a monthly meal prep class called Meal Prep with a Twist. I need to take that. She also works with the CDC, Ramsey County, Minnesota Department of Health on diabetes and arthritis prevention programs. And on top of that, it doesn't stop. She also owns and operates a farmer's market. And it's not in her bio, but I want to say that she also does basically an educational platform called Let Go and Let Flow with Don Johnson, and has a Wellness Wednesday series. It's so good to see you, and I'm excited to see you also later this weekend. But I read your bio, and it's pretty damn impressive. So we're going to talk about that. I wanted to first tell everybody about how, I guess, give a shout out to Modern Well, where we first met, which is a writing studio and a collaborative workspace in Minneapolis. Absolutely. So grateful to them that I got to meet you. But then you and Don Johnson do this really wonderful, would you call it an educational series, or what do you call Let Go and Let Flow?
A lunch and learn, having courageous conversations. That's what I would say.
Courageous conversations. And I was honored because the two of you had me join one Wednesday to talk about my book, The Pleasure is All Yours. And I had a ton of fun doing that. So thank you for doing that. Because not everybody does want to have conversations around, sex and pleasure and the body. And then there's people like you and I that are like, bring it.
Let's talk about sex, baby.
Yeah. So we were able to talk about my book, and then we later had something at my house where it was a really amazing group of women continuing the conversation about our relationship with our bodies and relationships with lovers and pleasure of different kinds, and really owning our right to that. And you were such an instrumental participant in that. I don't know if it would have been as fun if you hadn't been there.
I was a moderator.
Yeah, you were facilitating the conversation.
Facilitating. Yeah, it was great.
Yeah. Because I think when women come together and feel relatively emotionally safe, it's such a joyful and playful and soulful conversation because of the stigma around how the slut shaming and everything that women have faced.
And you should be able to talk about all of that at any point in time. So I agree.
Yeah. Well, so that was one example of I guess, a courageous conversation. And then before we kind of move on to the new Minneapolis, what else can you tell us about the Let Go and Let Flow and the Wellness Wednesdays? Like, because I know you do it, is it once a month?
Twice a month. So we're doing it on the 2nd and 4th Wednesday of every month.
Okay.
So, yes. So the 2nd Wednesday, we celebrate the wins in the Black community. And then the 4th Wednesday is when we have our courageous conversations between Black and white women.
Okay. And what's the next one coming up?
We are, March 9th with Alicia Price. Oh my gosh, I can't think of her business name. But she has created a business behind co-parenting. So,
okay.
Yeah, between co-parenting. So.
Like with when you're separated or uncoupled?
Yeah, if you've never been married, if you have been married, all of that. So.
Yeah. Just because that is a huge thing when you think of how that's many, many years. I mean, that's a long-term relationship to co-parent with somebody.
Man, too many, right?
Never ending.
Yeah, too many. So, no, I think as someone that is divorced and has to co-parent, and I've been in it now for 10 years, co-parenting. It is definitely the highs and lows. It takes a lot to co-parent. It takes a lot within yourself to find that. So I love that I think it's called the Price Dynamic. I think that's what her business is called. Yeah, so
Okay.
we're excited to have her on. So
Nice.
mm-hmm.
And so for the Let Go, Let Flow, is there a website for that, or is that on your New Minneapolis website?
Yeah, it's just on my, and I think Dawn has it on hers too. Yes.
Okay.
So it's coming. The website is coming. So it's a work that it's almost ready.
I know it takes a while to put that up. It's not cheap.
Absolutely.
And would you say that when there have been the conversations between, you said, white women and the two of you, what has been the response? Have there been like aha moments that in particular, anything interesting that has come up from that, because I'm sure there's so much growth and learning for people, and because you formatted it in this way for a reason. And so just curious, like, what's come of that?
Yeah, there was, yesterday we had the conversation on white passing. So that honed in on, how Black women, some biracial, some just Black, who have had to deal with white passing in society. And so we learned a lot of new terms that I'd never heard of, and just how they view themselves in society and who accepts them. So, and things that I've never had to deal with, but I definitely was empathetic and understanding to those situations. So.
Yeah, is that something that for people who've missed it, is there a way to see it later?
Yes, so they're recorded.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So if you email us, we can send it to you. Not a problem.
Yeah, I think that's such an important topic, and one that, for people who are privileged enough to not have to even think about it, they might have those friends and family and community members that are, and just like you said, for you, is something that you were able to learn too. Mm-hmm. But so you're really like giving voice to a lot of different people who are bringing up these issues around race, wellness, relationships. What else?
A lot of topics. There's a lot of things that we don't understand are related to each other, right? That are happening right here, and that have caused us to be at the state we're in, with some of the turmoil right here in our Twin Cities that we're dealing with. And so what we're trying to do is hone in on those issues, bring them to light, and have these conversations. And, the more I get into it, I realize none of these conversations are hard. It's not hard, and you probably know this as a doctor. If you sit down and actually talk, how easy it is to understand where people are coming from and what they've dealt with, or even the lack of understanding and the ignorance that comes with it because you were not properly taught.
Right, but to be like face to face and share in the space and share in the energy, and then like human to human, but also humans with different backgrounds and different understandings, but still human to human as far as like, oh, okay, I want to learn, I want to understand, and to, at least like be an ally or to be involved. Right. And yeah. Thank you for having those conversations.
No. Yes. And you're always great because you're always open to talk about anything.
Yeah, which sometimes is a problem for people.
Right. They're not ready for that, right? They're not ready to be able to just open up. And that's why I love you, because you're like me. Let's talk. What do you want to talk about? I'm not shy from any of that.
Yeah. I feel like that's what I love about you, and I'm so happy that we met, because it's like we get each other in that way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Lay it on the table.
Yeah. Well, and so speaking of laying it on the table, I mean, you have laid a lot on the table as far as with your business, with the New Minneapolis. I mean, there's a lot of really profound things that you're doing. And when I read your bio at the beginning, I mean, because you work with diabetes and arthritis prevention, trauma healing, generational issues as far as access to fitness and nutrition. You have a farmer's market. I guess, where to begin? Let's start with what led you to decide to create the New Minneapolis.
So I left corporate America 10 years ago. I went through a really bad divorce. I went through domestic abuse, and I found my way out of it through health and wellness. And through that journey and healing, I realized that others need to learn how to heal in a proper way, right? I think therapy is your friend. I tell everyone I have a therapist I see twice a month, just to kind of get me through every stage of my life. But the big thing is learning the part you play through your journey and how that affects you and others around you. So when I started this and I was healing, I wanted to make sure I ended up being the best version for myself and my children. And the only way I could do that was, for my personal journey, was through fitness. So I always say, instead of me wanting to hit my ex-husband, I went to the gym and hit the weights, and that's real talk.
And you had to get, well, and
I had to get it out.
Yeah, right. As like the somatic body-centered psychologist, like think of all that you were absorbing, and that, so what a really wise decision to figure out ways to discharge that in a healthy way.
And channel that, right? Channel what you're going through. And so while I was doing that, I was like, okay, I'm healing myself. I'm creating a positive environment for myself and my children. Let me teach others to do it. So that's how it started, leaving corporate America and following my passion.
Yeah, really, really serving with such meaning and purpose. And so you decided you partnered with a bunch of different organizations, CDC, Ramsey County, Minnesota Department of, is it Health?
Yes, correct.
Health. Okay. And are you putting together programs or working on putting together programs, prevention programs for like diabetes and arthritis?
Yes. So with, some programs are already put in place, and so then I'll just contract. But definitely, like the most recent with Ramsey County, we worked on that from May of 2020 to May 2021, creating that program. So created a 2-year diabetes program prevention with the help of the CDC, but being able to implement free diabetes coaching for Ramsey County.
So coaching people with what lifestyle?
Yep, lifestyle coaching, and people that are pre-diabetic. So if their A1C is between 5.6 and what is it, like 6.5, give or take. So right before they become diabetic, because, it's one of the deadly silent killers right now is that intake of sugar. So with this program, we're able to teach them in a year-long program how to eat well, how to incorporate exercise, how to learn how to just change the whole trajectory of how your family has been dealing with sugar. Sugar is hidden in everything we eat, everything, right? There's sugar in some waters. That's sad,
It is my addiction. That is my addiction.
It's the most, right?
Yeah.
Sugar and caffeine is the hardest thing to for people to deal with. And so at the same time, it's killing people. And so where we come in is to teach you what, and not, and I always say this, same thing, you want to lead with love and understand that it's most people, they just don't know, right? They think that, oh, I'm exercising, I'm doing great. And then they tell me, but I drank 3 cans of soda today. I'm like, well, there's problem one.
Maybe just go down to one.
Yeah. But
one into your cocktail. No.
Yeah. Or I had 2 sandwiches today with, white bread. And then, I'm like, well, there's a ton of sugar, just things that, obesity. Obesity usually has a lot to do with that, the overeating. So creating programming. And so it's a great program. It's a year-long program. We meet once a week for 1 hour. And then for 6 months, we have a curriculum that is written by the CDC that we follow. And then after 6 months, you meet twice a month. And so it's like a graduate program as you go along, and so you have to be in it for a year.
So you get that support. People get support along the way.
Yeah. So Ramsey County did great in the sense of understanding that and actually launching it, and then launching it with a small business. Usually they're always working with like United Way and U of M, these big, billion-dollar companies, and that they launched it with my businesses. It's a wonderful experience.
Yeah. And so who's eligible to be in the program? Is it for people from certain communities or ages or race, or what is it? Anybody?
Overall, they want people from Ramsey County, and it's really about where you are as far as your A1C. So
Oh, okay.
if you're pre-diabetic, most likely you're going to qualify.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
the nice part is right now we're doing it 100% online. Where in the past I've coached 9 other classes that it's usually in person, but right now we want to still keep people safe with just kind of the ups and downs due to COVID.
Yeah. And what about for because you also do different fitness classes and your meal prep class, are those live or in real life or over video?
Yeah, so I've taken a break from online for fitness classes after a year of teaching about 15 a week online. So now I'm just back to coaching and, with contracting with private facilities and organizations. And then coming back this summer, I'll have a couple in-person classes. And then at my farmer's market, there's free fitness every Saturday, starting May 21st at 9 a.m.
At 9 a.m. Okay, every Saturday starting May 21st. And the farmer's market is in Robbinsdale?
Correct. Yeah. Okay. Yes, at Lakeview Terrace, right at 81 County Road 81 and 36th Avenue.
And how long ago did you start the farmers market?
So the farmers market was started in 2008 by the Victory Neighborhood Association. It was volunteer based, and then in 2016 received a grant through United Way, and then that's where I contracted to help run it. So to bring those numbers up, bring more visibility. And so we did great the first year, raised those numbers, took it, well over 400 people that was averaging a week. It was doing wonderful. Wow. And then with just some sustainability, the organization didn't want to maintain, they ended up signing it over to me. So, and that's how my business, TheNEWmpls, obtained the farmers market.
Oh, okay. Okay. Mm-hmm. And has it always been at this location or?
No, so we just moved. So we just collaborated with the city of Robbinsdale. So we're moving it to like one of the best locations you can imagine, right there, right in the center. You're right there in Robbinsdale. You've got Brooklyn Center north. You've got Crystal to the west. You've got North Minneapolis to the south. So right in the center of everything. No, we've been struggling on the north side for a couple of years. So we're really excited for this new location and new collaborations.
One of my first jobs out of college was at a clinic. I think it's called the Robbinsdale Clinic. I'm old now, so it's hard to remember, but it was, helping. I would do peer education for people coming in regarding STD testing, or I guess STI testing, and peer education around sexual health. And so shout out to that amazing clinic. We would drive in and there would be like protesters outside, and it made me just all the more so want to get in there and like help women with their reproductive health needs. So hopefully there's not protesters still, but
I don't know. Yeah. I've never been to that clinic, but I do know where you're talking about.
Yeah. Yeah. And so tell us also a little bit about so some of the work with trauma healing. Because that's close to my heart too. Just because you're also certified life and wellness coach. Is it trauma as far as, well, I'll let you just explain what that is.
Yeah. So that's how I first got started, was becoming a life and wellness coach. And then the diabetes kind of moved into that. But definitely what I've noticed is food is definitely, related to a lot of trauma, right? And the generations of trauma, especially in the Black and Brown community, right? The trauma that's living inside the bodies and how we carry that on. And we look for food, right? For everything. And so what I like to do when I have done, in the past coaching, is really hone in on where you're at that moment, and how we can't do anything about the past, but we can heal from that. And how can we move forward in our journey?
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think there's such a sort of a new recognition for intergenerational trauma of different kinds, the ways that it lives in our body, the ways that it impacts people differently, And then the ways that there's still, due to systems and structures in place right now, it perpetuates and maintains the trauma. And that there needs to be more than mental talking about it, but also recognizing, how it lives in people's bodies through reactive patterns, through ways of seeing things. And it's like a kind of a DNA marker as far as that intergenerational piece. And, but then how it can be healed. It can either be maintained or healed through our, our adult life, but it's going to be different for everybody.
Right? Moving the body, sitting still. As we saw, a lot of people got depressed over the last couple of years. We've seen a lot of depression, a lot of suicide. People start moving. They stop being around people. It is in our human nature to heal from each other, right? To heal one another. We can only be on camera so long. We can only do so much work on, and it's been a great tool, right? It's been enable us to maintain our businesses. But at the same time, people need interaction, and they need to move together. They need to feel. They need to heal. They need to have these discussions with like-minded people that are going through the same things, and not be shamed because they aren't well. As a society right now, we're not well at all, and
very sick.
Yeah, very sick, in many ways. And so, and as we see. So it's right now, it's about encompassing all of that, right? So moving your body, eating well, understanding the trauma you're going through, healing that, understanding the diseases that you've created in your body due to the trauma that has not been healed, right? A lot of things have been created in your body because you're not well.
Right. Like I always say that it's our dis-ease can turn into disease also.
Absolutely, right?
If we don't have ways to move it through.
Yeah, your mental well-being, if it's not well, everything can shut down. And so as we see that, the rate of suicides right now is just mind-boggling, right? And I think what's really eye-opening to a lot of people is it's hitting home is how many celebrities that are dealing with it. And it's like right in our face, right? Or it's someone that's dealing with it. And so how can we deal with this trauma healing in a positive way that, and I'm glad it's talked about now, right? That we're having these open conversations because it used to not be.
Or people would,
It was a hidden secret, right? Like so-and-so's brother went crazy and all of a sudden they're gone, It's like they didn't go crazy. They have a lot of stuff that's going on that they're not, they don't know necessarily how to deal with. Or something traumatic has happened down to maybe their grandmother that's now they're still dealing with. We don't talk about that, right? I always say the 400 years of oppression, 800 years of reverse, that lives within us. That tightness that sometimes you get in your back if certain things don't happen a certain way or it triggers you. Let's talk about that. That is trauma. It's traumatizing.
Right. I think it's we're so stuck in our heads too. And so it can be, a lot of people are afraid of, or they don't know how to connect to these patterns in their body or to really integrate the two between their mind and their body. And so I think that's where the work that we do for trauma healing is really just reacquainting people with the language of their body and the corresponding places where the trauma is living within them, in addition to thinking patterns and beliefs, of course, as well. But it's interesting how the body can be so vulnerable for people to really stop and slow down and like connect to it. Or I don't know, have you ever noticed sometimes when you have been leading a class, a workout class, maybe people do get emotional, or whether it be anger or tears or anything?
Yeah, a lot of over the years, people have cried because maybe they didn't know how to get up off the couch, or they didn't feel they had a support team to help them, move. And so now they find this like circle, right? The circle, the safe circle space that they can come in, be themselves for 45 minutes and let go of everything. And that's why I tell everyone, I don't expect everyone to be a bodybuilder how I was, but understand that movement and the need to be around human touch is healing. It's healing.
Yeah,
right?
It's so essential to being human, to get to have connections and physical touch and like you said earlier, interact and share space. And And a lot of when people are exercising together and moving together in a shared space, that collective, research shows that it makes people have more compassion for others and feel more united and less divisive. And so that's where, at least it's happening a little bit more as we hopefully move out of the pandemic. But that, yeah, that's so necessary. I would actually love to, when there's a time where there can be more and more events, really partner. I'm putting together what's called the bodyfulness movement, and I'd love to partner with the New Minneapolis, because I want to have events that have a lot of movement, but also educations for women, everything from really the beginning of the reproductive cycle, like periods and menstruation, through to menopause, these areas of life that are also really silenced. And you know, women need to come together and understand it's like 50% of the population endures. And, well, not endures, I shouldn't say endures, gets to
I know what you mean.
have the gift of life and reproductive energy and life force energy. But it's also, there's all this secrecy and silence around it, and you have to hide, you know, your tampon, or you, or women don't even know what the symptoms of perimenopause and menopause are. So they just think that they're kind of going crazy or something. So long story short, the power of being able to bring women together to talk about those topics is part of what I want to do at the bodyfulness movement. And I feel like it would fit in so well with what the New Minneapolis is doing too. And Let Go, Let Flow.
And I would say, and Let Go, Let Flow, because that's also, and that's part of the trauma healing too, as we both focus, Don and I, on mindset and mindfulness and that coaching of where you're at in that space right now, and owning where you're at, but also forgiving yourself for the place you're at and how you're going to move forward. And I think sometimes people are not very forgiving of themselves, right? They'll forgive others first before they forgive themselves for the part that they were at that time. You know, we evolve over time, and we don't give ourselves grace for that. You know, who I was at 25 is not who I am at 44. And that's okay, right? You at 25, I don't know what you, I was young, wild, and living life.
I wish that we were friends back then. We would have fun.
I was in Costa Rica around that time. Well, yeah, that's when I was living there. So yeah, we can go back.
Wise, such a wise 25-year-old to go and live there. I should have done that.
Yeah, well, I was 22 actually. I was 22 living there. So yeah.
So you have like a real international perspective too, after living in another country.
Yeah, I lived there for 13 months. Yeah,
wow.
So I lived there. Yeah, it was the best time of my life to date. My kids always hate that I say that.
You like reminisce about it a lot to the kids.
You know, just I was so free. You know what I mean? Like there isn't any responsibility, you know, and just so open to understanding different cultures and the way people live. There was no judgment. I was just open, like, this is great. Let me take this all in, and understanding that there's a whole world out there outside of us, especially as us as Americans, right? We get very selfish as we think everyone wants to be like us, and they're in Costa Rica like, we don't want to be like you, and we don't want to come there. And I'm like, I live in Minnesota. Stay here. It's cold.
I know.
So yeah, but I think everyone needs, as in your journey, you need to be around. You have to be around others. You know, find a friend that doesn't look like you.
Yeah. So community and diversity in your community, and
Absolutely.
Who doesn't look like you, and I think there's so much, like we were saying earlier. I think there's so much to be learned from being around people who are different, whether it be race, age, religion, sexual orientation, you know, ableism, that's class. And I think for a lot of people it's a value, but for some people it's not. Like they in theory, okay, that's great, but then don't actually really find ways to like make that happen or prioritize it. So
and they're scared of the unknown, right? It's like that leap of faith to take yourself to the next level, right? It's easy to sometimes stay in misery. It's easy to stay in trauma because it's familiar. So, you know, sometimes people don't understand how to inhale the positive, as I always say, inhale the positive, exhale the negative. They like, there has to be something wrong because something good is going on, right? It has to be something wrong because this feels right, because the negative, I'm used to that. you know.
And that's a big part of trauma healing is that, I mean, yes, establishing safety and moving the old body memory out and the reactive patterns out. But one thing that can be really hard is for people then to reclaim feeling good, feeling pleasures of different kinds, joys of different kinds, because there is that sense of like always waiting for the other shoe to drop or what's, you know, I got to be on guard. And that's the difficult balance of like, how can we open up to really feeling ease and peace and joy, and that it's our right, and that it's really helps us with resiliency, but also of course recognize that, yeah, there's some pain and suffering and bad things that can happen in the world too.
Yeah. But understand the joys too. There's a lot of joy, right? And we have to, I always say, look at it on the positive side and thank whomever it is, whether you believe in God or a higher power, but thank whoever woke you up that day and you're alive and that you're here and that you can, you know, move on from where you're at and make a plan for where you need to go. You're not a tree. You can move. You can make change.
You're not a tree, you can move. I feel like that needs to like maybe be a new bumper sticker or something.
I'll put it on a t-shirt.
Yeah, or at least a Instagram story.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but it's interesting because I grew up in St. Paul public schools, and I learned this later, more recently in my adult life, that during the time period in which I grew up going to St. Paul public schools, there was I guess funding to have a lot of busing, and like I went to St. Paul Central, and at the time, my middle school and high school, it was the second most diverse public school in the country after one in New York City or in New York, somewhere in New York. And because of this sort of magnet school busing funding situation. And so for me growing up at St. Anthony Park Elementary, Murray, St. Paul Central, we had such diversity of students, and we had at our high school, we had like a daycare for people who had kids so they could still get their diploma. We had also a clinic for people who could get birth control and that sort of thing. And there was also tons of interracial dating and friendships and sports and classes together. And so for me, when I went to New England for college, was actually when things felt really homogenous. Because people say, oh, you go off to college and now you're entering the real world. For me,
and you
I
were
was
like, wait, what happened? Where
yeah,
did you graduate from?
St. Paul Central.
Oh, yeah. And what class? Wait, you probably don't want to say how
Hey, no, I'm proud of my age. This was 92.
Oh, yeah, it was diverse.
Yeah. So I guess in the 80s into the early 90s, there was, and it was just like, I didn't really know that any different until then later into my life. And so I think as we were talking about this topic of how it should be a value to want to be friends and have community that is diverse, I feel really lucky.
You definitely live like that.
When we had the pleasure party at my house, I think I looked around and there were people from like 7 different countries.
You had Festival of Nations there for sure. It was great though, but that's how you live your life, right? You know, and that's how, and that's your diversity is keeping an open mind. You're very open-minded, so I like that. And so,
thank you.
Because it's okay to be different, right? You can still be good friends with someone and still be different. Like you don't have to come from the same walks of life or even live the same life every day. No one lives the same life every day. And I think, and it's mind-boggling to me that people are so stressed because they're stressing themselves out to worry and create hate about other people's lives. As my dad used to say, worry about your self, your day will go by really fast. Worry about others, it's going to be a long damn day.
Yeah. Right.
People are worried about the wrong damn things, you know.
Yeah.
We're so worried about people's skin tone. We're worried about, you know, who they're in a relationship with. Who cares, you know? Worry about the things that we need to heal from and the things you need to heal from. You know, there's still people out there being sexually abused. There's still people in domestic abuse situations. There's still people, there's poverty galore. You know, there's people hungry. Let's worry about things that we can help and can, you know, and make better, but not the things that aren't our concerns at all.
And if it's going to be any concerns about others, let it be a concern about how we can all rise up together, right?
Right.
Like, let's
exactly
come together.
Build each other up. Mm-hmm.
Well, that's totally what you are doing with your work and your purpose, your meaning. This is, I can tell it comes just from your soul, and the world needs people like you who
Oh, thank
who
you.
really are living like your soul's purpose in a way that is educating and community building and doing it in ways that can also be are fun and joyful. So is there anything else you want to share just as far as how people can find out more about the new
Um,
Minneapolis?
yeah, you can go to the website, TheNEWmpls.info. We're on Instagram and Facebook. Come to the farmers market if you're looking for any info. Everything's on the website, from fitness, wellness, and nutrition, and how to get in touch with us, and just help support each other in the community. That's the biggest thing. That's
Okay, well, thank you so much
Thank
for joining
you.
today, and I'm going to put this on my YouTube channel too, so hopefully people
Okay.
can catch it later. But thank you, Shay. I'll talk
Thank
to you
you.
soon.
All right. Talk to you soon. Thank
Okay.
you.